Hello, welcome back to Fantastic Secrets Behind Fantastic Beasts. I'm Susan Şipal. We're continuing with our in-depth look into the magical circus coming in Fantastic Beasts 2. Today, I'd like to particularly look at the character of Skender, the owner, as well as how the circus might relate to the plot of the series overall.
I covered many theories like this in my book, Fantastic Secrets Behind Fantastic Beasts, and hope you'll check it out. Before I begin, however, I want to ask if you saw my last video. YouTube seems to have glitched when I posted it, and a lot of people are telling me they never received notification. I'm providing a link above because much of what I'll be saying today builds on this last video. Last year, I was fortunate enough to attend a library conference in Orlando with my publisher and got to visit the Ringling Circus Museum in Sarasota, where many of these images come from. Little did I know at the time that all the vintage relics I saw from the early days of the Ringling Brothers Circus would help form a fan theory for Fantastic Beasts 2. But there you go. Today we're going to look at what life might be like for Credence if he does travel with the magical circus, starting with its owner. All we know of Skender is that he's the owner of a wizarding circus. To figure out more, let's start with his name. Skender is a Balkan first and last name, possibly meaning to skin or to skin one's enemies, or, on the other end, illuminated, glowing, or bright. I personally like the name Skender because one of the theories of its origin is that it's derived from the Turkish Iskender, which happens to be the name of one of my favorite kebabs. But really, it's the Turkish version of Alexander, from Alexander the Great. Might Skender be a world traveler like his namesake? And might the name suggest that his circus is of European origins? For historical inspiration as to the character of Skender, I'm most intrigued by the obvious and possible links to P.T. Barnum. Barnum was the man best known for popularizing the freak show. In fact, there's a new movie coming out this December based on his life, The Greatest Showman, starring Hugh Jackman. Some of the acts Barnum is well known for having promoted include General Tom Thumb, who delighted even Queen Victoria, and Jenny Lind, the Swedish Nightingale, whom he introduced to American audiences. Indeed, Barnum was so good at what he did that he became quite wealthy, as did some of his performers. In the last video, we discussed whether this character could be the ringmaster, and if so, would he be Skender? Although popularly thought of as a ringmaster, I cannot find any evidence that P.T. Barnum actually was one. Earlier in his career, he appeared with various acts he promoted, especially in his American Museum in New York. But he came to the circus late in his life. With the Barnum and Bailey Circus, he seems to have worked more on the business end of promoting the merged circus rather than starring in it. With Barnum, there's a lot of controversy surrounding the man. Many people falsely attribute "there's a sucker born every minute" to him, but one thing he actually said was, "Without promotion, something terrible happens. Nothing." He would use exaggerated or even fictitious advertising to lure people into his museum, where he would then proceed, according to him, to give them double their money's worth. Still, did he exploit the human curiosities he exhibited, or did he provide jobs for people who otherwise were probably unemployable? While he is well known for his freak show, his museum also displayed natural wonders, historic exhibits, and provided a home for the arts. He is credited with having transformed the theater from what was considered seedy entertainment to a respectable family draw. Later in life, he used his voice and his venues to promote the abolition of slavery and women's suffrage. My purpose here is not to debate the nature of the historical man, but to discuss how Barnum may inspire J.K. Rowling's character. Whether Skender is a marketing genius behind the scenes of the circus or the ringmaster pictured, I would expect him to be quite complex. My best guess is that he'll be a man who both truly rescues people off the streets, such as he may have done with Merope and Credence, and then exploit them to make himself a ton of money. He could provide his performers with a home and livelihood that they otherwise would not have had, with some getting quite rich, while Skender is also manipulating them to grow even wealthier himself. I expect we'll see a bit of the shyster about him, wooing people into his freak show with exaggerations or even lies, perhaps even skinning them of their money. but in his own opinion, just trying to make a living while making people happy. Separate from the question of what Skender's character may be, we can try to imagine what life might be like for Credence among the other members of the traveling circus, should it happen. Circus culture has long been noted for its diversity. Within a circus, various nationalities, languages, religions, and ethnicities are likely to be represented, not to mention talents and physical abilities. But instead of being divisive, circus families are well known for their close bonds. Circuses are traveling towns, often comprised of family groups who have performed for generations. The people in these towns work together, eat together, sleep nearby. They are completely dependent on each other for their livelihoods. Or, as one modern performer puts it, circus life, it was chaotic, but we were one big family. This beauty of diversity, coupled with their life on the fringe of society, is what I believe J.K. Rowling found so attractive about including a magical circus in her story, not to mention the lure of exotic beasts. Such an environment will be the perfect place for her to explore themes of ostracism and tolerance that have already been shown to be important to the series. Credence, who has survived on the very fringe of society with much abuse and little love, may very well find his true home among this motley band of freaks. Rowling said in a key interview that she always writes about people set apart, stigmatized, or othered. Who could be more stigmatized than the human oddities collected together in a freak show? However, neither do I expect Circus Arcanus will be all sweetness and light. Credence is sure to experience some conflict, perhaps from other competing acts, perhaps from Skender. But I expect that some of this conflict will help him explore his unusual abilities and magical skills, to develop his talent, whatever that may be. The recent announcements also hinted that Credence would be back in a mysterious way. Might this include a disguise that a circus act would allow? I also think it possible that this magical circus may include some Muggles. Since the separation of the magical and no-mag worlds is such a key element of Fantastic Beasts, I expect the circus will serve as a place where the two worlds may mingle more than just as magical performers for a Muggle audience. Also, I do not believe it would be respectful to treat some of the medical conditions present in many of the freaks as merely magical pretense. One of this vlog's viewers, CARISSA Ann from Queensland, Australia, linked below, also sees the potential of Muggles being included as part of the Circus Arcanus, but she takes it a step further. She shared a very intriguing thought in the comments. Grindelwald will dislike and try to hunt them down and kill them because of their pro-Muggle stance. The circus could very well become a target of Grindelwald and his followers, especially if they intermarry, which CARISSA Ann also suspects. Even without knowing, Credence could be among them. Wherever the circus is bound, though, they may be hard to pin down. I pointed out in the last video that these traveling shows were popular not only in the US, but through many parts of the world, especially Europe, and we know Circus Arcanus is already bound for Europe. At this time period, many circuses traveled by train, and J.K. Rowling has definitely used the train to great effect before. Perhaps we'll see some great train scenes across Europe. But if the show is less well funded, it could still be traveling by horse and wagon. Whatever the method of transport, this traveling aspect of the circus will, I think, be crucial to the role the circus will ultimately play in the plot of the series. I want to read you some excerpts from a fascinating account of a Jewish woman escaping the Nazis on Juniverse.com. In Europe, circuses used to travel across national borders, spending weeks moving through forests and little-used trails, and then set up shop in small villages. During the direst parts of World War II, villagers would flock to see the circus, especially in Germany. Even during the Third Reich, a traveling circus meant a diversion from the daily drudgery of work and a glimpse into another, more glamorous way of life, writes Sonja Herbert, a German writer. After the events of Kristallnacht, when Jewish businesses, synagogues, and homes were targeted and destroyed in November 1938, a young half-Jewish girl asked to join and hide out in one such circus. The ringmaster, Adolf Althoff, warmly took her in and proceeded to help hide her, and eventually other members of her family, from the Nazis. The account goes on to say, only once during that time did the Nazis give the circus more than a cursory inspection. However, according to Yad Vashem, the wily circus director knew how to distract the Gestapo officer's attention with a drink or two, giving the illegals extra time to disappear. I could very well imagine Skender, as we've speculated earlier, capable of doing the exact same thing. Could you not see a similar setup with Circus Arcanus toward the end of the Fantastic Beasts series? I'm not sure how closely Rowling plans to align her fantasy world with the historical reality, but whether the circus helps Magicals escape from Grindelwald or Muggles escape from the Nazis, we have 3 probable Jewish characters in our team. Rowling has created an escape route. As she used elfin magic and the power of love to destroy Voldemort, I think she could do the same with this lowly freak show, unless Grindelwald is smart enough to value the power of those he believes beneath him. So what other possibilities do you see for Skender and his magical circus? Please let me know in the comments. Be sure to check the description box below for links to the articles I cited and prior videos I mentioned, and please subscribe for future theories. Also, don't forget to check out my Fantastic Secrets Behind Fantastic Beasts at Amazon or your local bookseller.